This is the GBN Luncheon News for today, Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. Coming up in the news, Mardi Gras man faces police probe over illegal horse importation. Agriculture Center of Excellence targeted for September launch, and rehabilitation work begins at Granitang Tourism Site. Regionally, Muslim inmates suing Trinidad government for breaching religious constitutional rights. Internationally, US and Iran trade strikes after reported downing of helicopter. And in sports, Andrew and Springer named in West Indies T20 squad. The first segment comes to you compliments Bryden and Miners.
Hey everyone, here is an invitation to join me this and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on GBN Television 711 K105 FM, our Facebook page and YouTube channel for Kaiso Talk. Meet the Kaisonians, hear their stories, feel the vibes. Kaiso Talk, Wednesdays 8:30 p.m. Compliments for Grenville Credit Union.
I'm Diedra Sealey with the details. Beginning with local news, a routine importation has turned into a major legal matter as Ryan Smith of Mardi Gras St. George now faces possible police action after allegedly breaching Grenada's animal importation laws by bringing in 2 horses from St. Lucia. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry has reported Smith to the police after uncovering what they describe as a serious breach of Grenada's animal importation rules. According to a formal letter issued on June 5th, Smith allegedly imported 2 horses from St. Lucia on or about May 29th without the necessary permits or compliance with inspection and quarantine regulations. What makes this case particularly alarming, authorities say, is that veterinary documents from St. Lucia indicate both horses tested positive for babesia, a disease that triggers automatic refusal for animal entry under Grenadian law. Despite direct warnings from agriculture officials not to land the animals and being advised that non-compliance could result in their euthanasia, Smith allegedly went ahead and had the horses brought ashore. During post-cabinet briefing this morning, Smith was accused of smuggling the animals into the country. Permanent Secretary Javan Williams stated in the letter that Smith's actions amount to offences under the Pregnant Horse Diseases and Importation Act and Importation Control Regulations. The ministry has referred the matter to the Commissioner of Police, who will determine if Smith should be arrested and charged. The Ministry of Education is moving ahead with plans to launch an Agriculture Center of Excellence under its Youth Transformational Skills Program. Permanent Secretary with responsibility for Youth Transformational Skills, Nyla James, says the Agriculture Center is expected to serve 3 groups: students between the ages of 14 and 16 who are currently enrolled in secondary schools, recent school leavers aged 16 to 18, and adults aged 18 and over. The ministry is targeting a September launch, although officials say infrastructure requirements could result in a slight delay if additional work is needed to ensure the facility meets the standards of a center of excellence. Training will cover areas such as crop production, organic farming, agro-processing, climate-smart agriculture, and entrepreneurship, with certification linked to competency-based standards. While over 400 expressions of interest have been received, the ministry says the center is expected to engage in an initial 120 participants, including 60 students from 4 secondary schools in St. Andrew.
are currently engaging. We have a student survey that the students completed. We want to get a sense of their interest so that we know how to engage them and engage their parents. We also have, we engage the teachers in those schools. They seem very interested, and they're also going to provide us some information about how they can help. The student responses so far, we have 400 as of Friday, and we are definitely seeing high interest levels in the programs. So within the next several weeks, we are ramping up the engagement with the students, the parents, the teachers, while simultaneously we're working on the curricula and, of course, the infrastructure.
The permanent secretary says the initiative forms part of a broader effort to establish specialized training centers in agriculture, tourism and hospitality, furniture making and fabrication, and marine and maritime studies. Grenada's ambitious tourism enhancement program is already taking shape, with rehabilitation work beginning today on the Morne Labe Trail at Granitang National Park. The Ministry of Tourism, the Creative Economy and Culture says the trail, which begins behind the Granitang Visitors House, is now undergoing upgrades to improve the visitor experience. The work comes as renovation and enhancement projects continue at the Visitors House, car park and lakeside area. Officials are advising the public that there may be temporary interruptions to some services and limited access to certain areas while the work is underway. The improvements align with Grenada's broader tourism agenda announced by Minister Adrian Thomas during Caribbean Week in New York. According to Minister Thomas, the focus will be on improving access, visitor amenities, safety, digital visibility, and community participation as Grenada seeks to increase visitor arrivals and spending while positioning itself for long-term tourism growth. And finally, the Royal Grenada Police Force is advising motorists of temporary traffic changes along the Carnage St. George's to facilitate NAWASA's sewer line installation project. The arrangements will be in effect between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. daily until further notice. During those hours, the Carnage Public Road will operate as a one-way route towards either Hughes Street or the Sendell Tunnel direction. Motorists traveling along H.A. Blaze Street will only be able to turn right onto Hughes Street and then right onto the Carnage towards the Sendell Tunnel. No vehicles will be permitted to make a left turn onto the Carnage from Hughes Street. Drivers will also be allowed to continue along H.A. Blaze Street onto the Tantine Public Road. That concludes our local news. Stay with us for our second segment, compliments Fortune Foods Limited.
Before the digital age, before the world moved at the speed of a click, there was a signal connecting a nation. In 1986, a journey in broadcasting began in Grenada, a journey that would grow into a trusted voice across the country. For 40 years, through radio and television, we've been there for the stories that shaped our nation, the news that mattered, the voices that informed us, the moments that brought us together.
Regional news: Muslim inmates are suing the Trinidad and Tobago government for breaching their religious constitutional rights. More details in this OCM report.
In Trinidad and Tobago, 27 Muslim inmates have taken constitutional action against the state, alleging breaches to their fundamental rights to observe the Eid al-Adha last year. They say prison authorities did not allow them to observe the Islamic holy day. In a fixed-date constitutional claim filed in the High Court last Friday, the inmates contend that their refusal or failure of the Commissioner of Prisons to permit or allow them to observe the holiday on June 7, 2025, amounted to an unlawful interference with their constitutionally protected rights. At the time, the inmates were all being held at the Port of Spain prison on Frederick Street. The claim was brought under Sections 4 and 5 of the Constitution, with the inmates seeking redress under Section 14. They alleged that the actions of the prison authorities infringed their rights to freedom of conscience and religion, as well as the right to equality of treatment. The claim stated that the inmates were not allowed to decorate the usually authorized area, while some of them were also not allowed out of their cell to shower and change their clothing in preparation for the 6 a.m. prayer. The first hearing in the matter is being scheduled for September 16th before Justice Diedra Rampersad. In Barbados, with anti-gang legislation now on the statute books, the government is moving towards the establishment of a firearms division within the High Court. Of the 27 murders so far this year, 23 of them involved firearms, according to Minister of Legal Affairs and Criminal Justice Michael Lashley. These include the backlog of cases pointed to the urgency of government's latest crime-fighting measures. The gun court will now join Barbados's civil, criminal, commercial, and family divisions.
The background to the establishment, sir, of a gun court, sir, in Barbados, or the firearms division, sir, it was indeed a manifesto pledge, sir. The fact, too, sir, that before that, we had an increase in judges and an increase in prosecutors, sir. The fact, too, sir, that we have to staff this court. The fact, too, sir, is that this court is being established to deal not only with the backlog of firearm cases, but also to deal, sir, with the present, sir, cases from January, sir. Persons who have been charged with possession of firearms and charged with various offenses on the Firearms Act.
Minister Lashley also revealed that several cases between January of this year and last month were already set to be heard before the High Court when established.
In January, sir, we had 4 cases involved firearms, sir, and those 4 cases are ready, sir. Disclosures served on the accused and disclosures served, sir, on the defense, sir. The cases for February, sir, and this is work, sir, along, sir, with the consultant, sir, and the police prosecutor, sir, and getting cases ready, sir. I can tell you, sir, in February, sir, there are 4 cases that were submitted and ready, sir. Disclosure ready, sir. In March, too, sir, we have about 3 cases that are ready and 3 persons, in relation to 3 persons that were charged, disclosure ready, sir.
In relation to what Mr. Lashley termed necessary support from within the Barbados Police Service, timely submission of files and statements will make a key difference in the administration of the new court. The St. Lucia government has extended to the end of December next year an amnesty to settle outstanding tax liabilities while benefiting from a full waiver of interest and penalties on eligible taxes. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierce, speaking at the weekly press cabinet, made the announcement yesterday, described the measure as one of the most generous tax relief initiatives ever offered by an administration in the country. He said what is important to note is that all interest and penalties due on taxes up to December 2025 will be waived. The current amnesty, which was scheduled to expire in May 2026, provides taxpayers with a 100% waiver of penalties and interest on the outstanding tax obligations for earlier tax periods. The government officials have previously stated that the program applies to all categories of taxes, including value-added tax, income tax, property tax, and other statutory obligations.
Our regional segment came to you compliments Fortune Foods Limited. International news and sports are up next.
Before the digital age, before the world moved at the speed of a click, there was a signal connecting a nation. In 1986, a journey in broadcasting began in Grenada, a journey that would grow into a trusted voice across the country. For 40 years, through radio and television, we've been there for the stories that shaped our nation, the news that mattered, the voices that informed us, the moments that brought us together. Your stories, your voices, your moments. The Grenada Broadcasting Network, 40 years strong, one nation.
In international news, the United States launched strikes against Iran after Washington and Tehran shot down a U.S. helicopter after Washington said Tehran shot down a U.S. helicopter in the Strait of Hormuz, escalating tensions and raising fresh doubts over fragile peace efforts. More details in this Reuters report.
The United States and Iran have conducted new tit-for-tat attacks. On Tuesday, Washington launched strikes against Iran after President Donald Trump said Tehran shot down a U.S. Apache helicopter over the Strait of Hormuz, escalating tensions and casting doubt on fragile peace efforts. U.S. Central Command says its operation targeted Iranian air defenses, radar, and control sites near the strait, calling it a proportional response to attacks on U.S. forces and commercial shipping. Iran state media reported that Qeshm Island and the port city of Sidik in the Strait of Hormuz were attacked, and said Tehran denied targeting the U.S. helicopter. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi posted on X that the country would, quote, leave no attack or threat unanswered. On Wednesday, the country's Revolutionary Guard said they had attacked a U.S. base in Jordan and 21 other targets around the Gulf. That included sites in Kuwait and Bahrain. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity said that nearly all missiles and drones launched by Iran were intercepted, with no immediate reports of harm to U.S. personnel. Central Command said the two crew of the Apache helicopter were in stable condition. Oil prices climbed about 1% in early Asian trade on Wednesday, following the escalation in hostilities. Trump has repeatedly said Washington and Tehran are close to a deal, but there has been little progress since a fragile ceasefire began in early April.
With the World Cup set to kick off in North America, controversy over ticket prices is kicking up. Football may be nicknamed the people's game, but the sport's less wealthy fans are finding themselves priced out of this year's contest. With the cheapest seats at the final in New Jersey going for some $2,000 US, for many it's a ball kick of a different sort, as the 2026 World Cup is set to be the most expensive ever. More in this France 24 report.
The world's biggest sporting event with prices to match, the 2026 World Cup, taking place across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, is set to be by far the most expensive ever. Tickets to the July final in New Jersey start at over $2,000 for the cheapest seats, 4 times higher than the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. FIFA President Gianni Infantino insists the prices are justified by sky-high demand.
We will fill NFL stadiums everywhere in the U.S., so 60, 70, 80,000 people.
The best seats for the final are priced at over $32,000 each, and that's just face value. Many are accusing FIFA of a cynical cash grab. In previous World Cups, the organization garnered most of its revenues via broadcasting rights, with tickets allocated through lotteries run by local organizations sold at prices that ordinary fans could afford. This year, FIFA has taken direct control of ticket sales, embracing the U.S. model of dynamic pricing, which rises with demand. Meanwhile, its resale site, where one can find 4 tickets to the final for $2.3 million each, is taking a 15% cut of ticket resales from both the buyer and the seller. The result, ticket sales and hospitality rights are now set to account for more than $3 billion, more than a third of FIFA's World Cup revenues. But the strategy could backfire. Thousands of tickets remain unsold across a number of platforms. Meanwhile, New York and New Jersey have launched official investigations into FIFA amid allegations of artificially inflating prices and misleading fans.
To sports, Grenadians Jewel Andrew and Shamar Springer have been named in the West Indies squad for the upcoming 3-match T20 International Series against Sri Lanka in Jamaica. The series, which runs from June 11th to 14th at Sabina Park, marks the West Indies' first T20 assignment since their Super 8 exit at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup earlier this year. Shea Hope will captain the 15-member squad, which also includes Jason Holder, Rovman Powell, Shimron Hetmeyer, and Brandon King. Head coach Darren Sammy says the team is focused on building on its World Cup performances and making West Indies fans proud against Sri Lanka. Now for a recap of today's headlines. Mardi Gras man faces police probe over illegal horse importation. Agriculture Center of Excellence targeted for September launch, and rehabilitation work begins at Granitang Tourism Site. Regionally, Muslim inmates are suing Trinidad and Tobago government for breaching religious constitutional rights. Internationally, US and Iran trade strikes after reported downing of helicopter. And in sports, Andrew and Springer named in West Indies T20 squad. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Diedra Sealey, thanking you for joining us.